to the Bond Room Unlocked. Who remembers this?
Hi, I'm James Danner. I'm from Wolverhampton. I've never seen a James Bond film in my life. So what is the appeal of a James Bond film, and where should I begin? Do I begin from the start? Is there a certain actor I should watch? I always remember growing up and thinking that Pierce Brosnan was the perfect James Bond, even though I've never seen one. But for me, he just seemed to have fit the role better, and growing up, he was always the James Bond I knew. So what is the appeal, and where should I begin?
During 2021, members of the Bond Room Unlocked Facebook group voted for the Bond film that non-Bond fan James should watch as a beginner. Did they go for the classic Bonds from the 1960s? Or maybe a darker film from the Craig era? No. It was back to the 1990s with Pierce Brosnan's first outing as Bond in Goldeneye.
You were expecting someone else? No more foreplay. Name's Bond. James Bond.
I never get fed up of seeing that trailer. So, today we are going to find out what James finally thought of this film, and also look at a piece of memorabilia loosely related to Goldeneye, and also get some fan thoughts with a few of our Bond fan soundbites. So, James Danner, over to you.
So, I've done it. I've actually watched a James Bond film, Goldeneye, which was suggested by everybody in the last video, and I have to say, I enjoyed it. What did I think as Brosnan as Bond? Well, as I said in the last video, when I was growing up, I always saw Brosnan as James Bond. He just, for me, always fitted the role. Obviously, never watching a film, I could never put two and two together and why I thought that. But after watching Goldeneye, it really cemented what I believed. One thing I did get, though, and I bet a lot of people would say this who've probably never watched James Bond, he does come across as a bit of a player. He's very charismatic, charmer, witty, and I did actually find myself laughing a few times.
Well, that is a good start, and it's interesting that James has picked upon the fact that James Bond loves women. Us Bond fans know Bond will do anything for the mission, and if it means seducing a woman to gain information, and we have all seen this numerous times over the years. Tatiana Romanova, Fiona Volpe, Helga Brandt, Triple X, Mayday, the list goes on. Remember when Moneypenny reminds him?
Remind her. Then pump her for information.
You'll just have to decide how much pumping is needed, James.
Sometimes the mission can leave Bond falling a little harder. Tracy Bond, Vesper Lind, Madeline Swan. Let's hear from Tom from SpyMovieNavigator.com and his thoughts on seeing Goldeneye for the first time.
Bond is back. That's what I thought of when I saw Goldeneye. I love the introduction of Pierce Brosnan as Bond with that bungee jump off the dam was fantastic. The supporting characters of Boris and Anatov and Simonova and Trevelyan, it was all really, really well done. It felt like an old school Bond movie to me, which is, again, something that really was nice for us. And then the last thing is the villain's lair. You have to love that villain's lair for the climactic scene of this movie. So all in all, how I felt? Bond is back.
One of the key moments that stood out for me in the film was when he's looking at his new weapons and his new car, and I actually did find myself laughing a bit, especially when one of the men went into the phone booth and the airbag went off. I did find myself having a little chuckle over that. And also the 12 Days of Christmas song, which was done, and Vic with her baguette for her lunch. Oh, baguette! I'm guessing that's where that's from, considering he picks it up and he goes, "Don't touch that. That's my lunch." So that bit did tickle me, to be fair.
We all love those scenes when Bond meets Q. We know that it's going to be a fun scene with things happening in the background that provides Bond with a quip that normally annoys Q. And some of my favourite scenes within the franchise are the Q scenes. And this one in Goldeneye is one of the best.
Hi. The reason I love Goldeneye is I really started liking James Bond when the change of actors started. Pierce Brosnan is one of my favorites. I love the story. I love the villains. I love Femke Janssen, how she was fighting Bond in the sauna. And Sean Bean was a good villain, which came through later on in the story. But Goldeneye is one of my favorites. I love the chase scenes, the tank scene, the beginning of the movie scene when he flies into the airplane from jumping off a cliff, and the motorcycle stunt. But all around, I just love it because it's fresh and new. Thank you.
Thanks to the Bond Room Unlocked new member, Bruce, for his input there. Now, James, are there any characters in the film that stood out for you?
Definitely, I'm rubbish with names. I do apologise because I've only watched it once. But definitely the main female protagonist who James Bond is with, she stood out a lot. And I also found myself watching the film and going, oh, I know that actor from somewhere else. So the main hacker guy, he was in Spy Kids, so I remember that. And obviously Robbie Coltrane, I believe his name is, from obviously Harry Potter, which he's famous for, being in that as well. So I always found that funny seeing him speaking a Russian accent. So I was like, no, he shouldn't be doing that. He should be telling kids where to go in Hogwarts.
It's interesting how age range comes into play here. People of around my age will remember that Robbie Coltrane shot to fame in the TV show from the early 90s, Cracker, where he played a criminal psychologist. Mind you, he did have some links with Bond. When he played the character Eddie Fitzgerald, he once said, "I drink too much, I smoke too much, I gamble too much, I am too much." And it's funny how the younger generation predominantly see Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid.
Hello Vicky, this is Alf from Cleves. What did I feel when Goldeneye hit the cinemas? It's just relief. There was great action, there were great actors, there were great girls, and the feeling that Bond was finally back.
So James, do you feel inspired to watch more James Bond films?
Personally, I do think I would watch more James Bond films. Definitely would like some more recommendations. I know a lot of people would say just watch them all, but I don't know. I'm not a massive fan of older films, even though this is 1995, so I was one, but I really enjoyed it. And to be fair, I think it's changed my perception on what a James Bond film is. It's not all just this, you know what I mean? Like, it's stereotypical. There is a lot more in-depth in it. Obviously the main villain, Sean Bean, in it, very amazing character. I actually did not see it coming, the little twist, how, obviously, it's not a spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, which I presume you have if you're watching this video, dies, but then comes back and he is said villain. So I did like that little twist, and I think it added a bit more to the story, a bit more interest and everything. Love the weapons, love the pen idea. That was great, that bit when he's clicking the pen and James is just watching and waiting for him to blow up.
The item I want to share with you today, and that links with James's love for the pen scene towards the latter end of the film, is this Parker Jotta pen set with Goldeneye packaging, and this came out just after the film, and you could get a £2 cashback offer towards the Goldeneye video with a till receipt at time of purchase. And one of the things I like about this is that at the back here they do a play on one of Q's favourite lines, "Pay attention Bond fans," and of course Q likes to say, "Pay attention 007." Yeah, so it's a great item. It links well with the film in terms of the gadgets, and it's a great item to have in the collection. And was there anything or anyone that you didn't like within the film?
Not a big fan of the other female villain in it. I found she was obviously portrayed to be, is it the femme fatale? Definitely very dangerous and everything. When I say not a fan, I mean the character was great. I just mean I didn't like her because she was annoying. The way she tried to kill people with her fierce legs.
Now, I'm quite surprised by that reaction, because Xenia Onatop is one of my top 10 Bond girls, and she's such a highly rated character with fans within the franchise. Very beautiful, very quirky, and yes, very deadly. So let's wrap up. James, what are your final thoughts?
All in all, I would honestly say it was a great film, and I would put it up there with, I'm trying to think of a film that I would compare it to. It reminds me a lot of Johnny English, but obviously I've seen Johnny English, and obviously Johnny English got their ideas, I presume, from James Bond, because it's the same kind of contrast, the same kind of controversial, but with more of a comedy element.
Yes, James Bond has provided many inspirations for other films over the last 60 years. From spoof send-ups like Johnny English, as we mentioned, and Austin Powers, to more serious tributes like Our Man Flint, The Ipcris File, and even Inception from 2010. Bond is everywhere. So that's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed listening to James's thoughts on watching his very first Bond film in Goldeneye. If you have, then please give it an MI6 stamp of approval and click on the notifications below. And why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any further missions. There are some fun stuff coming up. You can also find the Bond Room Unlocked on Instagram and on Facebook with more Bond content, and we now have over 1,000 members, so come on and join and in all the fun. You can occasionally find me co-hosting with Tom Pizzato and Dan Silvestri at spymovienavigator.com, cracking the code of spy movies. Check out our latest pre-title sequence look at For Your Eyes Only from 1981. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and I'd like to thank James for taking the time to give us his thoughts on Goldeneye. And I'll leaving you with a few final ones. See you next time.
Thank you everybody for recommending Goldeneye. It would be great to have another suggestion. I don't mind exploring. Obviously, I say I'm not a big fan of the earlier works and stuff, which, I'm not a great fan of old films, but I would definitely give them a go. And I think it's opened my mind a bit more to actually give things a go instead of just putting them on the back burner.